Welcome, Lisa.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Who is excited? This has been amazing. Haley, what? You've really created an amazing room for us all today and the whole event. I'm so impressed. And yeah, Mercury retrograde and all that. And we're just going to keep moving. I always say you want to be able to speak in a box with a fox and a boat with a goat and all those things. You just got to be ready to be ready. So here we are. I will be sharing a screen in just a second right now. Also, you always want to make sure you're sharing your slides. So make sure you know how to do that before you start speaking so that everyone can see the slides. We're actually going to talk about how to grow your business through speaking, because like Haley said, that's a very powerful funnel for you. And you want to make sure that you have that ability to use speaking, whether it's speaking like a whole presentation or you're speaking like for a minute, introducing yourself, or if you're at a live event, wherever you are on that speaking journey, just plug yourself right on in, because we're going to do some homework in class today. I love getting homework done in class. No homework for the weekend. We don't want any homework for the weekend, do we? No, we want to do it right now. All right. So a couple of things that I've noticed people have some burning questions about. Sometimes they say it out loud. A lot of time it's in your head when it comes to speaking. And one of the first ones is like, well, how would I actually get booked for speaking gigs? Like who would I call? Where would I go? What would I do? All that kind of thing, especially if you don't know, you don't know. And then right after that's like, well, how would I actually get clients through speaking? Like, how does that work? So we're going to talk about these things today. Don't worry. And then the big kahuna question, how do I make money through speaking? There's so many ways. But what we're going to do is I'm going to actually walk you through a very simple calculation of how you can actually calculate your speaker sales potential. So the first thing we're going to cover, though, is the number one secret to speaking referrals, like steady stream of speaking referrals. And this does not involve cold calling, because go ahead and put in the chat if you love cold calling. It's probably nobody's putting anything in the chat, right? put a thumbs up if you hate cold calling. Then now we're probably going to see some thumbs. That is what I call sometimes a soul sucking activity that entrepreneurs get tricked into doing, right? So it's like, how can we not do soul sucking activities? That's what I should call my next talk: how to avoid soul sucking activities. All right. So then we're also going to talk about strategies so you can attract clients through speaking. Again, maybe it's from where you're actually holding the whole event, or maybe it's like you're speaking for 30 seconds a minute. How do you do that? Or you're out in a breakout room for the next section. And then how do you calculate your speaking sales potential? So we're going to go through all that. I will give you a little tidbit about moi. So in case we don't know each other yet, you have a little idea of why you would want to be tuning in right now. I started as a speaker 10 years ago. It's 2013. I was 40. Okay. Yeah. Hard math coming. I know I don't look like I'm 50, but I am. So I started 10 years ago, and I was hired by a personal development company. In fact, I'm going to stop the share for just a second. I was hired by a personal development company to fill their workshops, personal development workshops, retreats, things like that. So who in here is in the personal development industry? You're helping people, you're a life coach, yeah, we've got the goddesspreneurs. Yes, positive. Woo woo. I love it. And they said, it was a longstanding company, and they had always used speaking as a way to fill those workshops. So they said, here's the talk. Here's what you're offering. You're offering a $300 workshop. Go fill it, and that's your job. I said, perfect. I love talking about mindset. This is going to be awesome. That first year I booked 83 speaking engagements in my local area. Okay. So this was 10 years ago. Facebook Live didn't even exist yet, but that's what they told me to do it. So that's what I did. I didn't think you couldn't do that, right? Ignorance is bliss. Can I get an amen? Ignorance is bliss. And there was no free offer. I had no free offer to offer. I only had a paid offer. Boom. You buy this or nothing. That's all I had. Well, I filled up all their workshops. We figured out we've sold 10 workshops a year with 30 people. So then I just kept rinse and repeating. Now I started, though, here's the thing, with zero speaking engagements, 0 clients. Okay. And so it doesn't matter where you're starting. I have a bachelor's and master's in speech communication. You don't need that to be a speaker. You don't need that. That was way back when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth is when I got those degrees. Okay. I taught at Cal State Fullerton. I taught interpersonal communication, but I didn't need that to do what I do now. I had started this group called the OC Speakers Network, and I wanted to collaborate with other speakers because I'm like, how does this whole business work? How do I get people into the speaking funnel? Like, how do I get more speaking gigs? Who's going to let me speak? And so what happened is those people in the network started asking me how to get gigs. How did you do that? How did you do that? And can anyone relate where you're really good at something and you don't even think it's that big of a deal? You're like, yeah, I see Jenna raising her hand. You're like, well, this is kind of easy. I don't know. I'm just doing what I'm doing, right? That is gold, baby. That is the gold right there. If you're sitting on something that's super easy for you and other people are asking you how to do it, pay attention, because that is eventually, it took me a few years of so many people asking me for help. That's when I started my company, Get Speaking Gigs Now. Now we have a speakers training academy where we help people get their talk ready to rock, where we start figuring out where would you actually go to get these gigs, how do you talk to people? How do you get your speaker sheet together? All of it is about getting ready to be ready, because it's very difficult to be a speaker if you are not ready. If I say, oh, cool, what do you speak about? And you're like, oh, I speak about anything. That tells me you're not ready. So that means I'm not probably going to be booking you for a speaking gig, right? Haley's probably going to be like, oh, well, maybe you're not ready to speak on our summit right now. But let me tell you, if you said to Haley, here's what my talk is, and it's really relevant to your audience in the next summit, she's probably gonna be like, cool, well, let's have a conversation. Let's get you plugged in somewhere. That's the biggest tip I could give you, is be ready to be ready. Okay. So that's what we do in our speakers training academy. And in our OC Speakers Network, we actually work on, yes, thank you, Haley. We actually work on speaking referrals, because that's really hard for some of us if we're just getting started. So let me go ahead and share the screen and keep this train moving here. So even on this slide is a teaching point. If you're able to get photos of you speaking, even if it's virtual, that's okay. Put them in a slide, put those things together, start highlighting yourself as a speaker, own it. Sometimes I've talked to people who they said, well, I'm kind of a speaker. I don't know. I'm like, well, did you speak? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, then own it. You are a speaker. So just own it. Stand in that power. You could do it. No one's going to be like sending you a memo. There's no letter coming in the mail saying you're a speaker. No, you got to like claim that. All right. So a couple of things. Yeah. Speakers Training Academy. I'll put a link in where if you want to apply to talk to me about that, we will put that link in at the end. And then the OC Speakers Network, I already mentioned that. So everyone's going to get a free ticket to the OC Speakers Network. Let's talk about steady stream of speaking referrals. Now, this is something that I came about organically, which I love. I love when brilliance comes organically. It's so much fun. And it's called Find Your Speaker Soulmate. And what that means, you might be thinking, I don't know what that means, because I made it up. That's why it's not in the dictionary anywhere. But this one tip has led to hundreds of speaking engagements for me. I've given over 600 talks. So most of them are through my Speaker Soulmate. Would you like to have the red carpet just rolled right on out for you? Or would you rather do like the cold calling and struggling and Google go down the rabbit hole trying to find a speaking gig? No, nobody wants that. You want the red carpet rolled out for you. So what you want to do is find a speaker soulmate. And that is someone who meets these three criteria, or at least as close as you can get. One is they speak at a similar frequency as you. This person might be in the room right now. They might be at the OC Speakers Network. They might be someone in your Facebook land world. It might be just a partner from a long time ago. It might be someone you haven't met yet. But this is someone who speaks at a similar frequency as you. And I want you to think about almost like that best friend relationship where we kind of birds of a feather flock together. So like find someone who's kind of in your zone and start there. Now, the next thing is it's got to be someone you know, like, and trust. I know this sounds like so obvious, but honestly, as an entrepreneur, guess what? You get to pick your coworkers. Yay. You don't have to work with someone you don't like, or you don't connect with. Find someone you absolutely love. This is your inner circle. Because I'm not talking about finding a ton of speaker soulmates. I'm talking about finding like 1, 2, or 3. Inner circle, just like that best friend relationship. You might have a few, but it's a small circle, because we're going to go deep instead of spreading it out wide, right? Which is a lot less work. It feels good. Your life is simpler. It's more effective. You're going to get way more. Now, this is the the Reese's peanut butter cup part of this equation here. The chocolate peanut butter come together. They speak to a similar audience as you, but they're not your competition. In fact, already today, I have referred Mike Grega to somebody that I know who could be his speaker soulmate, because he serves agencies. This person serves agencies, but they're not competition. So once you start to really be able to spot your own speaker soulmate, all of a sudden things can get real easy, real fast. So, your homework is just jot down 2-3 names. Don't overthink it. Who do you think might be a speaker soulmate for you? And when I say speaker, it might be a business soulmate. I don't know where you are in your business. If you're thinking of speaking tomorrow or in the future, maybe it's a speaker soulmate. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, speaking so terrifying to me, I would never do it. That's fine. Think of someone who would be a good fit for you for your business. Okay. Make it useful for you. But I will tell you, my speaker soulmate continues to send me referrals, and we have been doing this for 10 years, y'all. It makes it so much easy. I never cold call for speaking ever. And I speak about 60 times a year. Okay. It's super possible for anyone here. To make it easier for you, if you don't know where to find someone, you're like, I don't know a lot of speakers. I'm not sure how do I plug myself in? I've already created that for you. You don't even have to do that work. I'm making this so easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You have no idea. So we meet virtually, the OC Speakers Network. We meet the first Tuesday of the month. I'm going to put in here, everyone is getting this giveaway package right now. Like if you're even thinking about speaking, it's like, just grab all these goodies. I do not ever, like out of all the speaking engagements I do, I probably give this one away like 2% of the time. So you're getting like all the bonus goodies right away. And we haven't even gotten to the second point yet. You're getting a digital copy of my book free. You're getting 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs. You're getting a masterclass for free. And you get a ticket to the OC Speakers Network. So that's at getspeakinggigsnow.com/giveaway package, or you can click on the QR code. Hopefully it's big enough there. And we'll put that in the chat. You know what? I'll put it in the chat right now. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Here's a speaker tip. Always have a link to put in the chat if you are offering something. Oh, thank you. Look, Haley's are one step ahead of me. Check it out. I love it. Thank you, Haley, for all that support. Okay, so let's talk about how you can actually start to attract your clients. Remember I said, we're worried about speaking gigs. Now we got to worry about how would I actually get clients? So you may know by now that I like food, and I think it's a fun way to remember something. I want to make sure that you remember what I told you, because you're learning so much information. Anytime you eat a peanut butter jelly sandwich, I want you to think of this tip, because I'm going to give you 2 tips. They could be separate or they could be put together, just like peanut butter jelly. You could have peanut butter on toast, jelly on toast, or smack them together, have that yummy sandwich. A lot of sugar these days. I mean, as a kid, certainly ate them all the time, but not so much anymore, but I dream of them. So the first tip is to think about how you solve problems. So you share how you solve problems for someone. And I want you to think about, we don't have time to do a deep dive on this today, but I want you to just jot this down for your homework. What problems do you solve for people in their words? Like, think of a real client or your dream client, and they called you, or somehow you ended up on the phone or talking at an event or something like that. And they were sharing this problem that they had that you could help them with. So think of their words. Okay. Sometimes we, as experts, we get to technical verbiage, and then we kind of lose the interest. So you have to talk in the words of your client. I will give you an example. A few years ago, I was approached by an entrepreneur. She's a woman, amazing, intelligent, super brave, courageous, confident woman. She says, Leisa, I'm seeing all these speakers speaking on the stages, offering these big offers, making a ton of money. Why can't I do that? Like, what's wrong? What am I doing wrong? Or why is it not working? That's what I want. I said, she wants it to work. So I'm like, cool, let's get together. We did a Get Your Talk Ready to Rock session where she was able to create a talk that worked for her. She's not super high tech. She needed something really simple that she could remember, even if the tech didn't work, and that would be power packed and would be on brand with her and in her style. Once she was able to do that, she gave it to a room full of 150 people, sold her first time offer from stage, and brought people into her program. She has since changed businesses, but she still applies the same formula to each time she reiterates her business. And now she does 5-day challenges. She's an international bestseller. She's speaking on stages all the time. She could speak anywhere, no big deal, right? So now she has that confidence, which is super cool. Okay, so I want you to be writing down those problems that you solve for someone. See what I just did there, right? It was like, oh, okay, that was her problem. She wants to be a speaker. How do I do that? How do I get my talk done? How do I know what I'm supposed to do? And that's the problems that I help solve. So that's the peanut butter. Now we got to get to the jelly. Share stories. Now, if you're paying attention, you might have noticed that I kind of told it in a story, right? And how I shared the problem. That's why they go together nicely. These are really important. How you solve those problems and those client stories, and how you share stories you can use in a podcast, a radio show, a blog post, a chapter in a book, social media posts, speaking, all these videos, like the list goes on and on and on and on. In email, right? We're talking about writing copy. Erin was sharing us some tips on that. So there's so many ways that you can use this, but you need to start from somewhere. I think of it as having coins in your pocket, and you're just like, oh, let me pull this coin out. One time I was at a barbecue, and one of my neighbors was booking speakers for an event for Allergan, which is a really huge medical company. And they were doing a private event for the women employees of Allergan, and they needed a speaker. And guess who was at the barbecue? Me. And we were chatting, and voila. So you never know when you're going to get a speaking gig. I want you to always be able to pass that grocery store test. Like you're standing in line at the grocery, just pretend this could happen. You're standing in line at the grocery store and someone's like, oh, wait, what do you do? Wait, oh, you're chit chatting. And they say, what do you speak on? I want you to be able to say, boom, drop the mic. Here's what I speak on, and not hesitate, right? That's what I'm talking about, being ready to be ready. So one of my clients, she speaks all the time. She's an amazing community builder, huge heart. And I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but have you ever been in a situation where you have given away so much and you forgot to ask for something, and you maybe weren't clear on your call to action, and you left that meeting going, well, they had a great time. They said it was awesome, but yet I have no business or no clients or no whatever, right? That was happening to this gal when we met. So what we did is we looked through her whole agenda for this big, amazing, heart-filled event that she had. Guess what was missing in the agenda? She was missing in the agenda. She didn't give herself any time. She was sharing the stage with so many people. She didn't give herself the time to even offer and give her offer that, love and care that it needed. Once she was able to do that, she actually went from $0 to $18,000 in sales, instant sales, not phone call sales. This is like click the button sales. So that was a big game changer for her. And then she's going to rinse and repeat that model over and over again. All right. So there's a lot of power in speaking, I'm telling you. All right. Are you ready to do some very simple math? Unlike our other speaker who was a tip calculus. Oh my gosh, that was not me. I think that would have been my next class, and I would have probably failed it. So I like math super simple. So I'm going to give you the simplest equation ever in the whole wide world to calculate your speaking sales potential. And I want you to just sort of take a deep breath and realize that this is a rough draft. This is just, we're putting some ideas down, because if you're a manifestor, if you're someone who likes to create, it's like, well, it starts with something. We got to start with something. But it's a really good indicator if speaking is going to work for you in terms of having that funnel. It's also a really good indicator in your price points to see where some holes in the boat might be. I'm not going to call anybody out here. Do not worry. This is not but you can kind of silently go, oh yeah, maybe I need to make some adjustments. That's totally fine. When we get through this formula, and you're like, woo, woo, and you are like a rocket ship ready to go off, please, I encourage you to share that in the chat, because this can be a major game changer, just this exercise alone. This is what I call the speaker monetization formula, because a lot of times we're just thinking speaking can only be monetized by a speaker fee, which I know Charlene had talked about that earlier, but there's lots of ways that you can, maybe we just have to mute someone really quick. Did anyone? Okay, I think we're good. Nope. Let's all make sure we're on mute if we're not on mute. Okay. So there's lots of ways that you can monetize your speaking. And we cover this in the Speakers Training Academy because it's a huge portion. You're a hardworking entrepreneur. You deserve to make money. Haley, can I get an amen, right? Like, we deserve to make money. Put your hands in the air if you deserve to make money as a business owner. Yes, absolutely. There is no shame in that game, okay? I already know, especially because you're in Haley's community, I already know you're a heart-centered person. You are like wanting to give. But we also need to have that receiving muscle working for us too, because otherwise you're not going to be able to be in business and you're not going to be able to help anyone. So the first thing I'm going to have you isolate is a price of your product or service. And just, I know you have probably multiple products, multiple services. Do the one, pick one that is like, well, if I sold this one, that would solve all my problems. Or like, this one's really my favorite. I have a whole bunch, but I really like this one, or this one's my most popular, whatever that is, just pick one. You can always run through the other ones in this formula later. And just so you know, I'm going to explain the formula. I'm going to give you some examples, and then I'm going to show it again so that you can, let it process. All right. So for example, mine is the Speakers Training Academy. That's my product or service that I offer the most. It's the simplest way that I know when people say, how do I become a speaker? How do I get to become a speaker? How do I get booked? How do I make money? How do I do all the things? I'm like, well, Speakers Training Academy, that's what we do. Like, that is what I do all live long day, and I love it. And it's awesome. And it's effective. So that's my one. Okay. For people who maybe aren't ready for that, I'll do Get Your Talk Ready to Rock. I'm like, well, at least you get you a talk so that you have something, you have some product on the shelf, but usually it's the Speakers Training Academy. Okay. Now I want you to think of the number of speaking engagements you could do. This could be virtual, it could be in person, it could be a combo, pack, doesn't matter, a year. Most of my clients speak 12, 24, or 36 times a year. That would be once, twice, or 3 times a month. Very doable, kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. Remember that first year, I didn't even know what I was doing. Ignorance on fire, booked 83 gigs, and that was in person. That's crazy. Like, most people, you don't need to do that many. If you have your talk in line and you know what you're offering and you're speaking to the right audience, because you figured out, okay, here's where I'm going to target. You don't need to do, like, that's part of the strategy. Is like, well, how many actually would I really need to do? Okay. So we're coming up next on that. And then I want you to think of the number of clients you could attract per gig. This is often where we get a little tied up here, because we're like, well, I don't know, because I've got so many, how many people in the room? And we start to get a little stuck here because of what you've maybe heard in the past, where you're like, what's your conversion and how many people are there and this and that and these percentages. And as entrepreneurs, sometimes we can think ourselves into inaction. Have you ever done that before? Where you're like, wait, now I'm confused. I don't know what I'm doing. What? So I'm like, let me make it super simple for you. We're going to use our dreaming activation, our dreaming skills here, and put a number between 1 and 5. Keep it simple, sweetheart. Most of my clients, like life coaches, healers, heart-centered people, service providers, they usually have a higher ticket offer. If your offer is like in the $1,000 plus, we're going to make it work, right? Like, we're going to figure this out. So think 1 to 5, pick a number between 1 and 5. Then to get your formula, you're going to multiply those numbers together. I'm going to show you some examples. So it's okay if you're stuck and you're still kind of working. That's okay. I'm going to show 2 examples. Then I'm going to pull it all back together so that you know how to do it. So example number 1, let's say you have, I forgot one easy tip. Round your number to the nearest 100 or 1,000. So make it simple math for you. Okay. If it's 597, just put 600. If it's 997, put 1,000. We don't need to do hard math. Okay. Just simple, easy peasy math. So first example, let's say it's $1,000 product or service. Let's say this person, you're speaking 24 times a year, twice a month, could be virtual. I mean, honestly, I'm here in California, Orange County, California. I'm speaking virtually. I'm clicking the button on, clicking the button off. I mean, I'm staying longer because it's a summit, but feasibly, you're there an hour or two, right? For virtual. And let's say at that price point, you're attracting a couple clients per gig. That's 48 clients. This isn't including any additional sales or residual sales or anything like this. It's just like the initial, like that first thing that they purchase. If we do our math and we multiply 1,000 times 24 times 48, you get $48,000. Which for most people would be a big game changer. Like, wow, speaking twice a month that could be half your business. If you're doing 6-figure business, I mean, this can be very significant. Your kitchen remodeled, you go on the vacation, pay for the private school, whatever the things are. We all have bills, right? We all have things that we need to pay for. This can be very significant for you. Example number 2. Let's say you've got a $5,000 product or service. Let's say you speak same amount of time, 24 times a year. Let's say instead of 2 clients, you just attract 1 client, 24 clients. This is where we start to see some holes in the boat and some opportunities that maybe we're missing out on. When we total all that up, it's $120,000. So you see the difference of we just tweaked one thing. We tweaked the price point. Oh, actually, we tweaked the client too, because now you're servicing 1 client instead of 2. So actually making more money and working less. Who is on the train for working less, making more money? Yes. I'm telling you, sometimes we make it too gosh darn hard. We just make it super duper hard. Why? Because we're used to working hard, right? We're entrepreneurs are no joke used to working hard. But I am here to tell you, like, having freedom in your life, doing what's truly in line with who you are and the gifts that you have, and being who you are and being unapologetically you and living your heart's desire and giving to the world the gifts that you have is the best feeling in the whole wide freaking world. Okay. So that's what we do at the Speakers Training Academy. I'm not trying to make people work really super duper hard. It's like, no, let's have you help the people that you can help the most. So let's wrap this back up with the speakers training, the speaker sales potential. You got your price or product, pick your amount of time. Obviously, if you want to speak more than that, you can. I just try to make it simple for you. And then select those amount of clients that you're going to have. Just, ballpark it. What I like about this is because it's very conservative. You don't have to, sometimes we just get so like, oh, if I sell this and I find 1,000 clients, then I only need to go to 4 million networking events. And then, we just make this super hard on ourselves. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be that hard. And then put your speaking potential in there on your paper there. And if you're feeling super jazzed and excited and you're open to sharing your number with the group, I encourage you to do that. Just kind of telling the universe like, hey, this is what's happening in my world. This is what's going on. Then I encourage you to share that, but no pressure. It's private. I understand. And I'm going to wrap up what we did here today. Just as a reminder, we talked about the secret to a steady stream of speaking referrals. That's that soulmate. So you're finding those 2-3 people. Start finding those people. It doesn't need to be a lot. It doesn't need to be fast. Just put it out there. Say, hey, would you be my speaker soulmate? Have you heard of this concept? Would you be open to having that conversation? We talk about this then when my clients start to get their, I had a client who just finished the Speakers Training Academy. She got 13 speaking referrals from one person. I said, well, that sounds like a speaker soulmate to me. What now? She really wants to help him out, right? So that's how we get that red carpet rolled out. Using those speaker strategies, that peanut butter jelly strategy, share how you solve problems in your clients' words, share the stories, blend it together. Voila. You've got content for your talks, blogs, social media posts, videos, everything. And then we did the speaker sales potential, that formula. So hopefully that's opening your eyes up to, if you weren't thinking about speaking, you're like, well, hold on a second. Maybe that would be a fulfilling funnel for me. And I'm all about fulfilling. Like if you're terrified and you hate speaking, don't do this one. Why don't torture yourself. But if you're like, I love teaching and inspiring people, then this is your game. You could do this for the rest of your career. The rest of your career. If you would like to apply to the Speakers Training Academy and see if it's a fit, I'm going to put the link in the chat here too. It's getspeakinggigsnow.com/chat. Yes, you and I will have an actual conversation. It will be me on the phone. I will see you on Zoom. We're going to have a juicy conversation about your speaking, your goals, what you love, what you hate, what's not working, what's working. And we'll talk about the training academy and see if it's a fit for you. And I am going to stop the share real quick here, because I know we have our agenda, and I'm going to put that link in the chat as well. There we go. Did you have fun? Are you awake? Woo woo. Am I with you? Are you with me? Yes. Cool. Okay, good. Yay. So exciting. I always get so happy speaking. It's so fun.
Right?
Yay.
That is the fun part too. Once you learn to love speaking, it can be amazing.
It's so fun. You can meet the best people. You really do.
Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions for Leisa?
And I have questions if you don't have. Mike, I'm reading your comments.
You have lots of questions. Yeah.
Catherine, who's probably not Catherine, but maybe I'm wrong.
Hello.
Oh, hey,
Yes.
Hi.
Yes. I'm a speaker, and my question is, I don't feel comfortable asking for somebody to pay me to speak. How do you do that? I mean, I don't mind. I understand that I can get money speaking through my program or whatever and getting people into my sales funnel, but when do you start asking to be paid for speaking?
Oh, great question. Does anyone have a similar question? So this is so many questions about speaking is how does it work? Like, and there's no manual and there's no regulations on it, which is why it's so confusing, right? So here's my best, what I want to say is it depends, but it does depend. It depends on your strategy. And so that's where we want to get in. I like to get into my client's business and start looking okay, what makes sense? Does what Catherine speaks on, or does her business, does it make sense? Are you speaking in front of audiences that actually would be in a situation where they would pay the speaker or not? Where is the money really? And what path are we going to go down to find the money? That's, I think, a better question. Instead of well, should I do paid or not? Again, it depends. It depends. Okay. Think of it this way. Liz, I see your hand. Think of speaking as a deck of cards. And I grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska. We played a lot of playing cards. Okay, y'all. It was a lot of stuff indoors. Okay. I could play Go Fish and gin rummy and poker and all the things. But speaking is like that. So you want to know what game you're playing so that you know how can you win? What is the best strategy? So that's what we would figure out, Catherine, on that. Is, where's the issues with the monetization? Where's the best way for you to get the money? Liz, go for it.
Recommendations have you used, or do you recommend using speakers bureaus? I've approached, just don't have the time and the energy. There's a lot to them. Yeah. But thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh, I should just put it depends for all my answers. Because I don't have a exact speaker bureau that I recommend. It is so tricky because honestly, if you Google speakers bureaus, you're going to end up down a major rabbit hole, probably paying for fees and getting sucked into someone else's thing that isn't actually what you're looking for. And you're kind of waiting for the phone to ring and then it doesn't ring. I am a huge fan of teaching you how to fish instead of feeding you a fish, because guess what? You can eat the rest of your career when you learn how to find the speaking gigs that actually fit for you and your audience and who your clients are, and just rinse and repeat it till the end of days, right? That is my approach. For speakers bureaus, they're more, it's just a specific type of, it's a different type of game. Whereas it's a little bit longer process, a little longer sales process. There's a little bit more competition. They're a little harder to find. There's all these kind of things. Whereas a speaking event like this, you meet Haley, she's got stages. And if you have your stuff ready and you're ready to go, she's probably going to give you a shot, right? And guess what? If your clients are entrepreneurs, well, that's the cat's meow right there. And you can get it pretty quickly and you can get it pretty easily. So there's a lot of benefits to being able to use what in the industry is called speak to sell model. So you don't go signing up for bureaus unless you really know what you're doing. Okay. And then how do we find our speaking topic? Patricia asked in the chat, such a great question. Does anyone else have trouble like kind of figuring out what would their topic be? I think, yeah, it's super common for, I raise my own hand. I hate this Zoom feature where it like automatically raises your hand. I'm like, no, I'm using my hands. I'm Italian. What? Don't sue me. Okay. So anyway, so with entrepreneurs, we're usually sitting on decades of knowledge, right? Or thousands of dollars that you spent on getting your certifications, your licenses, you have really educated yourself. So you're like, oh, I can talk for 30 minutes. Oh no, what? How am I going to edit all of my brilliance down into this? I have to tell them everything. And that's where we get stuck. And then we go, oh, well, my favorite, I'm still working on my talk. I'm like, well, stop still working on your talk. Let's get it done. I like to just get in, get out. Let's figure it out today. I literally do my Get Your Talk Ready to Rock session in 2 hours, y'all. That means title, description, learning points, call to action. So you have a clear picture of what you're giving and what you're doing. And then you just take that off your list. I don't even worry about it anymore, right? Take it off the list because you have better stuff to do. You got clients to serve. You can't be spending all your time writing a talk, writing your bio. We got to get it done. Let's go. So, yeah.